What is your guys' pick for that, realistically, Holloway, McGregor?
Oh, dude,
And don't pick with emotion. I'm talking MMA math.
Dude, 170 pounds. You haven't fought in half a decade. If the fight was 3 rounds, I would think, God, the Conor's got a good chance. I mean, he may still have a good chance, but you're half a decade sitting out, and then you're going in there, Max Holloway, who's an expert at fighting 5 rounds, and he's 170 pounds. You're not going to...
2026 is the year of the propeller hats. 2026 is the year where every single big fight, every single main event, where we look at it and we go, yeah, this guy's completely fucked. They win and they dominate and they make narratives look completely fucking stupid in hindsight, right? Chimaev, complete aura loss. Ilya Topuria, complete aura loss. Marab, complete aura loss. And I actually feel like we are living in the timeline where Conor McGregor comes back at UFC 329 and KOs Max Holloway, okay? When I talk about the matchup, I'm not just talking about, dude, Conor McGregor is a better striker than Max Holloway. I feel like, overall, he kind of is. But listen, bro, looking at the matchup, right? Obviously, there's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of things we don't know because we haven't seen Conor McGregor in the UFC octagon for 5 years. I totally understand that. I do not look at this betting line and go, these people are idiots. They should be picking McGregor. I'm not saying
this. Hasn't fought since July 10th, 2021, and I don't know why they did this fight. They dropped it during the Ngannou walkout. The odds right now, Holloway is a minus 480. McGregor is a plus 330. The fight's at 170. Conor's been out for 5 years, half a decade. I think Max Holloway is going to batter.
July 11th, Sin City, Las Vegas. The opponent is a man that I have beaten before in Max Holloway.
So we have the venue, we have the opponent.
I'm ready to come back. I'm out so long, 5 years. I've got a great opponent in Max Holloway. He is an established fighter, former UFC world champion, multiple time, former UFC BMF world champion. And our last bout was martial arts mastery.
He was on Jimmy Fallon. He's doing the rounds. It's my understanding that he went from New York and he's going to Vegas or California rather, and he's going to lock in the rest of his camp here. So I'm confident, unless anyone can get injured badly, things can happen in a camp, but I think he fully intends on fighting this fight.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I think he intends on fighting this fight too, but what I'm saying is that you're supposed to say the right thing. You're not supposed to alarm people that there's issues. And even in your head, you might think you're saying the right thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the right thing is going to happen. But I'm hoping, I'm positive, and I'm optimistic that the right thing will happen with Conor, and that he does do this fight, and then he does come back in April, and he does submit himself to the mercy of the game like everyone else. So I'm optimistic that those things will happen.
Yeah. What about the fight itself? I mean, we bring up all these hypotheticals if he could fight Justin Gaethje and all that. I mean, it's exactly a 5-year layoff. The current Kalshi market has him with a 34% chance to Max Holloway 66, which feels, a little more generous than I was expecting there. I don't know. How do you feel about this fight? Can Conor McGregor, are we just making fun games here for the sake of conversation, or is there a world where you see Conor McGregor actually winning this fight?
Against Max Holloway?
Yes, against Max Holloway.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And the only reason why I'm saying that with this level of confidence is because he's done things before that we never thought he could do. So you kind of have to take him seriously when he says something. You have to. I've watched Conor. I was one of Marcus Brimmage's sparring partners when Marcus fought him. Oh, I'm just fighting this guy from Ireland. Now he's from Ireland. Who fight out of Ireland? Oh, this guy named Conor something. Oh, man, he touched him up, right? And then he goes on this run. Then he fights Dustin, and we go, oh, yeah, Dustin's the one who's going to save us. Dustin's our guy. Then he knocks Dustin out. You're like, wow, this guy. And then he goes on this run, knocking out all our heroes. You're like,
I'm super excited. When I saw it, I got goosebumps. And my boy's locked in. I've heard Conor McGregor's being back 20 times over the last year. I see his training footage, he looks good. Then you have Max Holloway. I love him. I think he's an incredible fighter. Him and Holloway 13 years ago, and he had to grapple with Holloway. Conor was able to take him down and out-grapple him there. This is going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be a striking fight, of course.
He talks about Max Holloway and says, hey, this is the same guy that I fought in 2013. What's your reaction to that? And do you believe he actually believes this, or do you think he's just kind of trying to build the fight?
I mean, I think he has to believe it to a certain extent. Like, not that he thinks he's the same guy skills-wise, but like, I beat this guy which means I'm going to beat him again. You know, I think that that's probably kind of human nature. That seems like the kind of philosophy that he would take. And he's doing it to build a fight, but also for himself. I think that like who is this guy? I beat him with one knee the last time. Like I tore my ACL and I beat this guy. Like you tell me I can't beat this guy again. So I think it's good for his psyche, and I think it's not a bad line to sell the fight. I gotta believe that Conor also knows that he's watched a few Max Holloway fights since then, and that he needs to be prepared. And I think he's been preparing.
The countdown has officially begun, and the excitement surrounding the upcoming clash between Conor McGregor and Max Holloway is reaching a whole new level. Each passing day feels like it brings something fresh to the table. A retired fighter steps forward to share his take. A heated debate erupts online, and fans everywhere start drawing their own battle lines. The conversations are happening everywhere, from barber shops to podcasts to comment sections, and nobody seems to agree on anything. Some people are firmly in the corner of Conor McGregor. They look at his history, his knockout power, and his presence inside the octagon, and they say there is simply no way Max Holloway walks out of that cage with the win. They point to the fact that McGregor, when he is locked in and fully focused, carries a kind of danger that very few fighters in the history of this sport have ever matched. One clean shot, one perfect moment of timing, and the whole fight can be over before most people even realize what happened. But then you have the other camp, and they are just as confident, maybe even more so. These are the people who have watched Max Holloway grow into one of the most complete fighters on the planet. They watched him lose to McGregor back in the day, and they will be the first to tell you that the man standing across the cage today is nothing like the young kid who took that loss. Holloway has evolved. He has sharpened every single tool in his fighting arsenal. His footwork is cleaner, his timing is sharper, and his ability to stay active and keep pushing forward round after round after round has become almost impossible to prepare for. So, the real question that everyone keeps coming back to is this: when all the opinions have been shared, when all the predictions have been made, and when the cage door finally locks shut behind both of these men, who is actually making the smartest call? Who is reading this fight correctly? That is what makes this matchup so fascinating and so genuinely difficult to predict with any real confidence.
You know, if you've been paying attention to Conor McGregor, he seems to be in better spirit, seems to be level-headed finally, and then also just looks healthier. He looks healthier. I assume he's chilled out on the devil's dandruff and the old hooch, I would assume.
Did you see what he said about the contract, where they
he didn't give a lot up on the contracts. Like, he wouldn't get into numbers. That's usually a red flag, meaning the numbers aren't as crazy as we think, because we're all going to say, well, if they offer John Jones $30 million, what's Conor worth? Here's the issue with that, though. So we're all aligned going, oh, Conor's worth more than $30 million. I just think the UFC's like, all right, contractually, he has two. We're not going to pay him over $30 million. It's probably somewhere in the $20 million, 20 to 25, I would assume. Who knows? This is all just assuming here. But let's say, if they're paying Poatan 10, Conor has a little more leverage.
Now, when you sit down and actually dig into the details of this fight, things start to get really interesting. Thomas, someone who has been following this sport closely for a long time, shared a perspective that is worth paying close attention to. His take is that this fight is not going to be decided by power alone. Yes, Conor McGregor is still dangerous. Nobody in their right mind is going to sit here and tell you that the Irishman has lost his ability to put someone to sleep with his left hand. That threat is always going to be real, and any fighter who forgets about it for even a split second is going to pay a very steep price. McGregor's power does not disappear just because time has passed. It is still there, and it is still something that Max Holloway will have to respect every single moment he spends inside that octagon. But here is where Thomas raises a really important and thought-provoking question. Has McGregor managed to keep the same level of speed and balance that made him so incredibly difficult to deal with during his absolute peak years? Because it was not just the power that made early Conor McGregor so hard to fight against. It was the combination of everything working together at once. The sharp movement, the ability to create angles that most fighters could not even see coming, and the way he could shift his weight and change the energy of a fight in a single breath. That version of McGregor was a genuine nightmare for opponents. The question now is how much of that version still exists. And on the flip side of that coin, coin, Thomas points out that Max Holloway brings a very specific and very difficult style of pressure to this fight. The feints, the angles, and the combinations that just keep coming and coming without any real break or pause. That is the kind of thing that slowly but surely breaks a fighter down over the course of a full fight. Holloway does not need one perfect moment the way McGregor does. He builds his wins layer by layer, round by round, adding up damage and controlling the pace until his opponent simply has nothing left to give. Thomas believes that if Holloway is smart about his positioning and manages to stay just slightly outside of McGregor's most dangerous striking range, while continuing to push his volume and keep that relentless forward pressure going, the momentum of this fight will begin to shift. And once the momentum shifts in a fight like this, getting it back is an incredibly difficult task. That is the scenario Thomas sees as most likely to play out, and it is a scenario that makes a lot of sense when you really think about the styles involved. The key for McGregor is going to be landing something significant early, something that makes Holloway pump the brakes and think twice before just walking forward. If McGregor can plant that seed of doubt in Holloway's mind in the early rounds, this fight looks very different. But if Holloway manages to absorb whatever McGregor throws in those early exchanges without getting seriously hurt and just keeps coming forward anyway, the challenge for the Irishman grows with every passing minute on the clock. This is what makes the matchup so compelling on paper. Two men with completely different blueprints for success, and both blueprints are entirely legitimate. There is no clear right answer here, which is exactly why this fight has captured the attention of the entire MMA world.
Fight, I guess, what is it? He needs to snipe him in the first couple of rounds. We're hoping Max Holloway's chin, after, you know, being untouchable for a decade, and he's now been dropped in 3 of the past 4. Like maybe it's just not there and he can land the right shot and power's the last thing to go type of deal.
Yeah, I think, well, Conor's still going to have that power. I just don't know if he's going to have the speed or the balance.
Yeah.
With the balance, like having the balance with the speed. I think that in terms of foot speed, like Conor's always been great about understanding distance and creating angles and keeping people at the end of his punches to where he's really maximizing every shot and getting the most out of every shot. But Max Holloway is really crafty on his feet and creating like smaller angles to stay out of that range while giving you the illusion that you're in that range. And he's a volume puncher. And I think he might have the speed, like the speed in the combinations, like between his combinations, he might have.
So here we are, getting closer and closer to UFC 329, and the big question is still sitting right in front of us. Who walks away with the win when Conor McGregor and Max Holloway finally share that octagon again? This is a fight that carries real weight on both sides. For McGregor, it is about proving that he is still among the elite, that the version of him the world fell in love with has not faded away, and that he can still perform at the highest possible level when everything is on the line. A win over a fighter of Holloway's caliber would send an undeniable message to the rest of the division and beyond. And for Holloway, this fight carries a deeply personal kind of motivation. He knows what it felt like to lose to McGregor. He has carried that result with him through years of growth, improvement, and championship glory. Coming into this fight, he is not the same fighter who lost that night, and he knows it. More importantly, he has put in the work to make sure everyone else knows it too. Both fighters have every reason to bring their absolute best on fight night, and both fighters have a very real path to victory if things go the way they need them to go. So now, it is your turn. Who do you think wins this fight? Do you believe McGregor's power and experience give him the edge, or do you think Holloway's relentless pace and volume striking are simply too much to handle over a full fight? Drop your prediction down in the comments section and let the debate continue. We want to hear exactly where you stand and why you believe your pick comes out on top. And if you want to stay up to date with all the latest MMA breakdowns, fighter analysis, fight week coverage, and post-fight reactions, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. There is a lot more content coming your way, and you do not want to miss a single moment of it.